Good morning, everybody. Hope you had a great weekend. Hope you had a blessed Easter. Got to spend time, eat some good food with family. Um, I had a wonderful Easter. Did a lot of rest, watched Insecure, ate some really good food on the grill with my wife and son. Today, Monday, April 13th, 2020. You can see my face. There we go. This is our AP Lang class overview for today. Better. I'm going to get started with our quote of the day as usual. So today's quote of the day comes from one of my favorite rappers, Pusha T. This comes from the song Drug Dealers Anonymous. I still haven't heard a better rap song than that since it came out like 4 years ago. The quote is, America's nightmare in Flint, children of a lesser God when your melanin's got a tint. Some context behind that quote. At the time, and it's still going on, but Flint still does not have complete clean water. And it's just something to think about because what would happen if Flint is a majority black town in Michigan, and we have to think about what would happen if that was like River Oaks in Houston. Would they go that long without clean water? So, the quote is just like, hey, when you're a person of color, you don't get the same, benefits and things like that other people get. So that's one of my favorite quotes. It kind of stuck with me this morning. All right, some shout outs from the exit ticket last week. The last exit ticket last week, PBA synthesis assignment number 1. As you can see, Brianna had a very good, super good, sophisticated response, thesis and paragraph. Peter, Ian, Henry, Gutierrez, Janie, Evelyn, and Jose Ayala. Excellent responses. Very exemplary work. Y'all go holler at them if you need, some final touches or some extra advice on how to write your paragraphs, how to write a, nuanced thesis. But those were some that stood out, among others. There were others, but those really stood out to me. All right. So some focus areas for final drafts, which you're going to do today at 5 p.m. On Google Classroom. For the thesis, one thing I saw that I left some comments on a few people's thesis statements was make sure we're making specific proposals for reforms. Meaning, like, what are some specific changes? I think the majority of people had like actual specific reforms. A lot of people talked about creating new classes, Pell Grants, free tuition, things like that. These are things that you would actually present to somebody and say, these are things that I want to help change the entire educational system. So try to stay away from vague things like making sure that kids are, taken care of. Like that's great. That's obviously something that we want to happen, but that's not specific enough to meet the criteria for this thesis. For evidence, make sure you're citing your sources. When you're citing your sources, make sure that you are including both the author's name and the title of the work whenever you are citing a source for evidence, anytime. I mean, that's in this class, that's next year, in whatever class you take, that's in college, that's grad school, whatever, med school. Make sure you're citing the author's name and the title of the work. Briefly summarize the argument or overall message of each source you're citing as evidence. So like, as soon as you cite that source, really quick, this Kyoko Mori school tells the story of blah, 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 right? Education of Our Marina tells the story of a girl in the Bronx who, has a difficult upbringing and needs the support of her teachers to make it through to and through college. All right, that's just a brief summary. Don't assume that your reader has read or watched these sources and they understand what you're talking about. So like a brief summary helps with that. For commentary, the 80-20 rule, 80% your claim, your reasoning, your commentary. Other 20% needs to be evidence. I'm seeing a lot of paragraphs that are just full, you know, essays on the source itself and not like your voice and your commentary and how you feel about the situation and your reasoning for the claims that you're making, and how you feel the evidence is important. So go back through, take a look, highlight your claim, reasoning, commentary, one color, highlight your evidence in another color, and then you can kind of see the ratio yourself. If you're using two sources, make sure that you're explaining the relationship between the two sources and how those sources illustrate your claim. Are those sources shaking hands? Are they agreeing with each other, or are they fighting with each other and one is a counter argument? Make sure you're explaining that somewhere in your commentary. Um, Please make sure y'all are proofreading your work before you submit. Don't just finish it and say, I'm done, and hit submit. Go back through, look for simple, very, very simple grammar, punctuation errors that you can fix easily, like capitalizing proper nouns. We, as 11th graders, we shouldn't be not capitalizing the right thing. Like, no, I'm not letting that slide. I'm sorry. Look, titles, names, events. Make sure those things are capitalized. Make sure that you have the proper punctuation as much as possible. No, punctuation can be tricky, but still, there should be punctuation, some type of punctuation, even if it's wrong. Uh, Double space everything, double space. Lastly, as I said yesterday, only complete an annotated bibliography for outside non-unit sources. So anything that you go outside from what I've given you and look for evidence, make sure you cite that and complete an annotated bibliography citation for that at the end of your essay. So we're going to talk about some AP Lang exam changes. Again, the exam will be held on May 20th, 2020 at 1 p.m. This will be completely online. If for some reason you can't make that date, June 4th at 11 a.m. will be the makeup. Hopefully I'll get some more information about how to apply for that makeup date. But as of right now, May 20 is the official date. You will be able to use notes. All right. As we get closer, we'll talk about what type of notes you can use and how those notes will look, but you can use some type of study material while you are taking the exam. The exam will be one free response question, which is rhetorical analysis. Starting today begins our official rhetorical analysis prep unit, or AP exam prep unit, which would only focus around that one FRQ. You will be given 45 minutes to read and respond to the question one, which is that rhetorical analysis essay, and then 5 minutes to upload your response online. At some point this week, they'll be giving us a tutorial on how you'll upload those responses. As soon as I get that and I'm able to digest and internalize that, I'll send it out to you and you'll get that information as well. So the rhetorical analysis question, nothing you haven't seen a bunch of times. It presents you with a passage of nonfiction prose of approximately 600 to 800 words. You're then asked to write an essay that analyzes the writer's rhetorical choices. This question assesses your ability to respond to the prompt with a thesis that answers the writer's rhetorical choices, select and use evidence to support a line of reasoning, explain how the evidence supports a line of reasoning, demonstrate an understanding of the rhetorical situation, which we're starting with today, and then use appropriate grammar and punctuation in communicating an argument. So like I said, that's rhetorical situation. Our review of that begins today. So this is what our schedule will look like for the week. Today, you'll finalize and submit your PBA synthesis. At 12 p.m., there's going to be a question posted on Google Classroom. Quick note about these questions. They're not official assignments. They're just mostly checking, CFUs to check for understanding, to make sure that you understood the concept that's being presented in whatever video that accompanies that question. So they're just um, checking for understanding, um, questions for you to answer, for me to see that you understood the video. There are two assignments. They're posted here and they're in bold. Tuesday, same thing. There's watch the video, answer the question about the speaker's rhetorical situation. Wednesday, you'll write an effective rhetorical analysis introduction and thesis statement. That's your assignment number one. After watching the instructional video, virtual hour is there. Thursday, virtual hour 1 to 2. The question will be based around you writing one analytical claim. So one sentence basically based on the instructional video. And then Friday will be your second assignment of the week, in which you'll write an effective analytical paragraph responding to the free response that we'll be working on all week. All right. Today at 12 p.m., there's going to be a video and question posted. This comes from a video I posted on YouTube, which I model rhetorical situation, or identifying a speaker's rhetorical situation, describing the components of the rhetorical situation. This comes from the Benjamin Banneker free response that we did months ago. Your only question to answer is, what steps did I take to accurately identify Banneker's rhetorical situation? So you'll answer that on Google Classroom anytime before tomorrow afternoon, because you'll have another question tomorrow, and I don't want those to stack up. But just quickly, watch the video, answer that one question, and that will be that. So this is the link to the YouTube video. This will be posted at 12 p.m. As well. So lastly, to finish off, our album of the day comes from Childish Gambino. I don't know if y'all are a fan, but that's one of my favorite artists. He dropped a really, really good album a few weeks ago. Check that out. That's what I'll be listening to today, as I go through and begin reading these essays, and planning for tomorrow. But that's it for today. I want y'all to have an excellent Monday. Go outside, do something. Weather's really cool. Apparently, it won't be that cool after this week, for the rest of the year. So that's it. That's me signing off. Have a good one.